Stay away from negative people. If you want to be happy in life, if you want to live a very happy life and be focused and start to believe that you can do things, you can achieve whatever you want, or just have fantastic days, stay away from negative people. Now, it took me quite a long time to learn this. I've had negative people in my life. Up until recently, I still have. And negativity isn't one of those things of, they're always putting you down or talking about how something that you do might not work. Negative people can be anything from people who have got incredibly low self-esteem and they project that onto you because, as they say, misery loves company. It could be people who are bullying you. It could be people who have got no belief in you. It could be people who are just so fixated on what's wrong with the world and they're always talking about the problems that they've got or the problems of the world or the problems in their job or their relationship, whatever it might be. Anything that's not happy or positive or uplifting. Doesn't need to be over the top. But the more you hang around negative people, the worse your life becomes. And I know this myself. Quick story about that actually. One of my very ex-girlfriends, we stayed friends for a few years, and I remember it was Christmas Eve one particular year, and I thought, let's just catch up with each other. So we met up with each other, we went for a walk for about 45 minutes or an hour or thereabouts, and when I got back into my car, I felt drained. I felt absolutely drained. I wasn't happy anymore. My energy was very negative, and I drove home thinking, why did I even bother? Why did I bother spending an hour of my day catching up with somebody to go from feeling quite happy and excited just before Christmas, and I was just in a good mood anyway, and I drove home thinking, well, I'm just deflated now. What was all that about? And she didn't intend to make me feel that way. I don't think anybody intends to make you feel bad. But she was talking about the issues in her life and her new belief system. She'd recently become a Jehovah's Witness. Nothing against religion, but she was talking all about that, and I don't care about Christmas anymore, and this and that, and whatever it was. I can't remember everything she was talking about. But there was nothing positive about anything at all. Maybe she thought there was, but it was just draining. Absolutely draining. Anyway, long story short, that was also the very last day I saw her, spoke to her, or had any contact with her, and that was over 10 years ago now, maybe even longer, actually. So it's important to remove negative people from your life. So I thought I'd just go over a few points today and talk about why that's important and how I think for myself as a neurodivergent person, how sometimes it can take a little while to realize that removing negativity is actually the best thing that we can do with our lives. So the issue is that negative people often focus on problems rather than solutions. And as I said, I don't think they intentionally want to do that. But as I said before, misery loves company. You've probably heard of people saying, stop playing the victim, or that person's just a victim, or victim mentality. Well, negative people always and often focus on the bad aspects of whatever it might be. My business isn't doing well. My relationship sucks. I haven't got enough money. I don't like this cold, wet weather. Whatever it might be. They're always talking about how bad things are or focusing on all the bad stuff that's happened. I've been guilty of this. I'm sure that you have. I think we all have. It's basic human psychology, really. It's strange how it can actually be very difficult sometimes to focus on the positive. And we don't need to walk around with false confidence or false happiness. But for example, like today, I'm out here, it's currently about 6 degrees, 7 degrees, it's nice and fresh, and rather than saying, my God, it's cold, I quite love it, and for me, I'm looking at it from a positive point of view, saying, well, I feel energized. It's a wonderful day. Yeah, I might need to rug up. Yes, my fingers are cold right now, but who cares? It's a beautiful day. You can smell the fresh air, and it's wonderful. And if anyone says to me, it's so cold today, I'd be like, yeah, but it's great, isn't it? Smell the fresh air. You can always twist it around. It's not false about it. You're just repurposing it. When I lived in the UK, the best advice I ever got there was, there's no bad weather, it's just bad clothing choices for the weather. So if it was incredibly windy or incredibly cold and you weren't dressed to stay warm, then that was a poor decision. If it was a hot day, not that they were common, but if it was a hot day and you're rugged up in a huge jacket and so forth, then yeah, that was a poor choice. So that's the thing, always focus on more of a solution and a positive solution. I don't think you can actually focus on a solution without an element of happiness or an element of positivity. But that is one of the big differences. So again, negative people focus on the issue and what's wrong with it rather than a possible solution. The other issue with negative people, and this is probably the most important one, is that their mindset is contagious. I'm sure you felt this before. You walk into a room and you're feeling incredible, and there's somebody there who's down, or they've just got this horrible attitude, and there might be 4 or 5 of you in the room. After a while, when that negative person goes around, you can see the energy change, you can see the shift. You might actually walk out thinking, oh, I just don't feel good anymore. Or have you ever walked into a room before where you can just tell that there's a tense feeling? Negativity spreads so much faster than positivity. That's why people love watching the news. That's why we're always fascinated with horror stories and the doom and gloom, because negativity, for whatever reason in our psyche, always seems to draw our attention more. But the problem is it rubs off on us far too quickly. So negativity is highly, highly contagious. So if you can mentally remove yourself from that, then you are ahead of the game. I had a friend who was talking to me about how much they didn't like themselves. And I'd give them advice based upon things I've gone through my life. And every single week or every single few days, oh, I'm having a bad day, I just hate myself. I'm having a bad day, I just hate myself. And you give them the same advice again and again and again and again. And after a while, I found myself believing the same thing about myself too. Oh, I hate myself, I don't like what I see in the mirror. I don't like this about myself, I wish this, I wish that, I really hate myself, I'm having a down day. I couldn't believe how quickly I assimilated to that. And this was a great friend of mine. And yet it happened all too quickly. They're a fantastic person. I really enjoy their company, and what they can bring from a friendship point of view is fantastic. But that negative energy that they've got, I couldn't believe how quickly it assimilated to my life. And the second that one small thing happened, I went down the rabbit hole. So be very, very mindful of that. And as a neurodivergent person, I've found that it can be all too easy to assimilate to things. And I think that anybody with some sparkles, some neurodivergency, can do that more so than people who haven't got any sparkles. So if you're neurodivergent in any way, if you're impressionable, then be very, very mindful for that. It's important to rely upon self-preservation. You must take care of yourself and your thoughts and your feelings. Stay away from that contagious negative energy. And the reason for that is because negative people can slowly destroy your confidence. Now, I'll do another video on confidence, and probably many videos on confidence actually, but they really can destroy your confidence. Like I say, you can look in the mirror, and if their energy is rubbed off on you, you might say to yourself, well, I hate how I look. I don't like myself. I wish I was something else or somebody else. Or it could be the fact that you want to maybe write a book, and they've tried doing something in the past and it didn't work, and they've just been talking about how, oh, I tried this and it didn't work and that's failed, and you're just going to just stick with what you've got. And if you're not careful, it rubs off on you, and you can find yourself not pursuing things. I did another video before on being delusional and using that delusion with, as that sort of belief to get things done. Well, if you're surrounding yourself with negative people, with the victim mentality and everything's doom and gloom, you're going to start to slowly, and subconsciously by the way, you're going to start to slowly stop. And one day you're going to realize that something that you wanted to do never happened, and you won't really know why. But if you really analyze it, you could pinpoint it down to the fact of, well, I think I just hung around the wrong people or the wrong person. There's this quote, and I'm not too sure the actual proper quote, but it was, surround yourself with, look at the 5 people that you hang around with. Yeah, the common 5 people, the top 5 people, like your best friend, your other friends, your whatever it is, those top 5 people that you associate with on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Are they uplifting you? Are they taking you forward? Are they keeping you where you are, or are they dragging you down? You are the outcome of those 5 people. There's a technique I learned many years ago. I think it's in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, and it's all about a mastermind group. And the point of a mastermind group is actually to work upon furthering your goal, but within the group, you're also helping people further their goals as well. And because you're working on it constantly and you're around people who are focused on their goals and you're there as a support network for each other, you can be accountable for each other, then it's a great way to move forward. If any of those people aren't positive, if they're negative, if they're victim mentality, if they've got that draining energy, you are not going to succeed. In fact, most of the people in that group won't succeed because it's all about staying focused and being accountable. Speaking about being accountable, I'd like to talk to you very quickly about ExitNine. Now, ExitNine is helping me so much with my channel here and everything in my life. It's a wonderful program that I'm lucky enough to be involved with, and you can be involved too. If you want to be a content creator, or if you're an entrepreneur, if you've got a business or you're starting a business, then I've personally found that having somebody to hold you accountable is a godsend. Especially if you're doing it on your own. If you're doing it in a team, whether there's 2 of you or more of you, you can be accountable to each other. But a lot of people who do content creation or a business or a solo entrepreneurship thing, there's nobody to keep us accountable, even though people say that they will. They don't, and I know that through experience. But ExitNine is incredible. The most important feature there is the coach. Now, it's AI-based, but this is more powerful than GTP and Claude and anything combined. And the thing I love about it is it gives you that hard, tough love that you need. I know that I need. And I've used it for strategies, and it says, great, well, when are you going to film the next piece of content? When are you going to publish it? When are you going to deliver it? And if you don't do it, they say, well, why not? You know, it really makes you focus on the goals. The other thing about ExitNine is there's an inbuilt journal, and you can document everything that you've done. And I use it every single day. In fact, daily journaling I have found has really kept me in a wonderful positive mindset and taken so much negativity away from me. So it's perfect to talk about in this video. With the journal, you can talk about what you're focusing on either from the day before or the day that you're writing, and then you can tag the emotions you feel, happy, sad, motivated, confident, whatever it might be. And then the AI generation reflects back at you, it summarizes what you've said, and it gives you 3 points to focus on and move forward in the coming days. And the best thing is, because it's all part of the same program, the coach also uses your journal entries to keep you accountable and move you forward and work with you. So if you're a content creator or want to be, or you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, then check the link down here below, click on my link. ExitNine is the absolute best thing for you. I can attest to it. I know that you're going to love it too. So make sure you click that link below. The other thing with negative people is they often project their own fears onto you. Just say, for example, a very small one. You may not have a fear of spiders, and somebody does, and they're going on about it and on about it and on about it. Now, I know this is probably a wild assumption, but after a while, you might find that you've got a fear of spiders. I mean, look at it this way. How often have you heard a song in the background, for example, at a cafe or on the radio or in passing, and you hear it a few times, and suddenly you start searching for the song? Well, it's the same thing with negative energy. If someone's always talking to you about a fear, if you're not careful, that fear can become your own, and you may not even have the fear. You may want to go skydiving, for example, and you'd be talking to somebody who is so fearful that they can't even climb a tree, let alone jump out of an aeroplane. If they're talking to you about it far too much, you might give up on that goal. And in a year or 5 years or 10 years or longer, you may regret not doing it. So be very mindful of that. And the thing with fear, and we'll talk about this in future videos, is when you confront your fears, they disappear. Fear is an acronym for false experiences appearing real. I won't go into detail, but if you can face your fears and jump out of your comfort zone, then you break away from that. But negative people don't do that. Or if they do, they don't do it very often. So make sure that you stay away. I'm saying the same thing all the time, but it is very important. Keep negative energy out of your life. The reason why I'm saying all this, the important thing to remember is life can be difficult enough without having other people's negative opinions swaying your mindset. We all need to make a living. We all need to adapt to society. We need to adapt to technological changes. There's things that are always out of our control. There's wars, there's famines, there's financial crises, there's been pandemics, there's all these different things that are completely out of our control. We do not get to decide everything that happens to us on a daily basis, but we can choose our thoughts. We can choose our level of happiness. We can choose to be happy. We can choose to be victims. We can choose to be negative. So today, I want you to choose to be happy. I want you to choose to be positive. Choose to walk away from negativity. It can be hard to do. You might have, it could be the best friend you've had in the entire world, but if they are dragging you down, and you know that they are, and you've just been lying to yourself or avoiding it, if they are dragging you down, quietly remove yourself from that person. Sometimes you might need to walk away completely. Now, never tell them. This ex-girlfriend of mine I spoke about at the very beginning of the video, I never told her that I was walking away. I never told her that she was draining me and boring me and making me feel horrible. I just walked away. It can be hard to do, but as I've learnt with ExitNine, as I said before, tough love is what we need. Get rid of all the negativity in your life. It's as simple as that. Now, trust me, I haven't done this completely. There are many times I've focused on the bad things, and I think being neurodivergent, once I get into that cycle, it can be so hard to break away from. I've had a real issue before with my voice. I've had a real issue before with my physical appearance. And unfortunately, I found that the more I focus on it, the worse I feel. And if I'm with people who think the same about themselves and we're talking to each other, I feel worse and worse and worse. It can be very hard to overcome a huge negative emotion when you're in that rabbit hole, that black hole, that cesspit of darkness. But it can just take one thing to make you positive. It could be listening to your favorite song. If you play an instrument, it could be doing that. It could be walking in nature. It could be having your favorite cup of coffee with your favorite syrup or whatever it might be, whatever that one thing is that keeps you happy. And then just focus on that. Because what you focus on becomes your reality. And I think I've said this before, but if not, I'll say it in another video, and I'll say it right now. When you do the thing, you find more energy to do the thing. So once you start doing something happy and positive and focus on that, and it redirects your mind away, keep doing that. So the biggest thing here is try to be positive, try to be happy. It's not always easy, but stay away from negativity and negative people. And trust me, you'll have a much, much better life. If you're neurodivergent in any way, Asperger's, dyslexic, ADHD, autistic, whatever it might be, I know for a fact that people can judge you and things can be hard. But just focus on what makes you happy. Focus on the good in life. Do not focus on the negativity. I'm now repeating myself and I'm really sorry, but it's the most important message I can really bring across to you. After 44 years of life, focus on the negative. No, sorry, don't focus on the negative. What am I saying? Focus on the positive. Stay away from all forms of negativity. Don't watch the news. Don't chit-chat and idle gossip. Don't listen to people who are bringing you down. Be happy, focus on your happiness, and you'll have a happy life. It's that simple. Do me a favor now, please subscribe and hit the bell so that you get all notifications, and comment below. How do you handle negativity in your life? Are you going through a situation right now that's bringing you down? Has watching this video made you realize, actually there is somebody in my life that actually is really affecting me in a bad way, and I've taken on board a lot of their beliefs? Have you walked away from people before? Or have you learnt all this such a long time ago that you're always in a positive environment, that you're always focusing on happiness rather than negativity? Whatever it might be, please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Right, well, thank you so much for watching another issue of Identity Crisis. I've been Jonathan, and I'll see you next time.